Condo construction rose 36% in October. It's just that kind of number that gets the housing bears calling for a correction nervous. The number led the pack for residential building and construction across the country, but my next guest says a lack of available land in some markets causing issues for condo developers. For industry perspective, we turn to the president and CEO of Lamb Development, Brad Lamb. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
All right, so that's the kind of number that people who have got a call for a big correction in the Toronto and Vancouver markets, they see a building like that, they say it's not sustainable. Convince me as to why that's not such a bad number.
Well, monthly starts is not an irrelevant number, but it's not really a relevant number. You need to look at monthly starts over an arc of 6 months to a year. Condo sales are really represent the demand, what's going on at the time. Starts represent what happened 2 years ago. So it's not really relevant today for understanding demand.
All right, in terms of those sales, I understand, wasn't the best year in Toronto, but perhaps not for the reasons people think.
Yeah, so this year we'll probably see 20,000 new condos sold. The best year was 28,000. We've seen, 17,000 to 28,000 over the last 10 years, so it's kind of in the middle of that. Not a great year, and the big problem we're having now is all the easy low-hanging fruit's been built, and those parking lots have been sold off and developed. So we don't have sites. Sites are now assemblies where you're buying 3 or 4 buildings or existing buildings, knocking them down or building up inside the building if it's a historical building. And they're far more expensive. An $8 million site today is a $25 million, 2 years ago was a $25 million site today. Land prices are soaring.
Now, in terms of within the city of Toronto, is there any land left at all where you don't have to go the route of tearing something down, or is it just gone?
Except for really the eastern waterfront between Parliament and Yonge, it's all gone. And all of the parcels are in the hands of either commercial developers or residential developers. It's really been all bought up.
So how does that set us up for 2016 and for you as a developer in terms of the condo market?
Well, there's huge demand. I mean, we could sell probably 25,000 units. There just isn't the product. Projects sell out very quickly. Sales aren't really a problem. Our problem is finding. We have 2 problems: finding sites and then working with the city. The city is absolutely a bottleneck for us. Things that used to take a year to get approved take 2 or 2.5 years to approve. So we've got a lot of problems in our industry, but the problem we don't have is demand.
All right, so we got demand in Toronto. I know you also have exposure to the Calgary market. I imagine we've not quite as much demand out there.
No, so when we started out in Calgary about 7 years ago, it was amazing. 6 years ago, our best market. So we expanded and then got blindsided by oil prices falling. I would say Ottawa and Calgary and Edmonton are the 3 worst markets right now for selling real estate. But having said that, we've had such phenomenal markets. They're not dead. They're just not as buoyant as they're out here.
Now, the federal government is trying to surgically strike the Toronto and Vancouver markets, bringing in these minimum down payment rules. On the portion over $500,000, you're going to pay 10% down instead of 5%. A lot of people think it's not going to have a huge effect on Toronto and Vancouver, but might have a negative effect on Calgary.
It's really going to have a non-effect on anything. I think more than anything what that is a symbolic gesture. A lot of people are making noise about trying to slow down the real estate markets in Toronto and Vancouver. You're not going to slow them down through government intervention, unless it's draconian and stupid. So what they've done is they've said, okay, we're a little concerned and we're going to tweak this. But the difference is, so when you were buying a $999,000 condo or house, you used to be able to put $50,000 down to buy it. Now you have to put $75,000 down. When you're buying $1 million house, you can find another $25,000.
As a developer, do you think they're just getting their toe in the water and they might get in deeper and cause some disruptions to the industry?
Well, what's carrying the Canadian economy is my industry. Construction industry, the
27% right now, and you put it all together.
It's a massive part. I don't think you want to monkey with it, or we'll have a recession for sure.
All right, and today, of course, we found out that GDP, not as strong as we were hoping for October, has a lot of people talking about another interest rate cut from the Bank of Canada. So while on the policy side from the federal government, they're trying to tighten things up, that would really set up conditions again where you go to the easy money and just stimulate the market even more.
Interest rates are so low now. I don't. You can get a rate under 2.75 if you have good credit for a residential purchase. I just don't think there's much more stimulation that can happen in terms of lower interest rates. It's a perfect environment right now for real estate. We've got low inflation, low interest rates, and moderate growth. It's the absolute perfect storm for people getting into real estate and doing well.
Now, as a developer, and you have to look forward and lay out a plan for the years to come, can it go on like this forever? Are you preparing for an eventual time when you cool it?
Well, I think there's a lot of attention on the condo market. It's always fear the condo market's going to crash. The condo market generally has risen about 2 or 3% over the last 8 years. It's not our problem. The problem is buying a house at Yonge and St. Clair that used to be $1 million, now is $2 million in 5 years. Inflation in our market's not in the condo market. It's not the problem. The inflation is where we're not adding any new houses. If you want to solve the problem, build more houses, single-family homes, free up more land. That's the problem we have, in a nutshell. And also in Vancouver, it's the same problem they have.
All right, fascinating discussion. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
It was Brad Lamb, President and CEO of Lamb Development.